Yeah,
Beterbiev seems like you got some different type of power, man. Like, like how do you kind
yeah.
of fight a guy like that, man?
Jab, body shots, and defense. You know what I mean? With those bigger guys,
David Benavidez prepares himself to fight the winner of the bout between Dmitry Bivol and Artur Beterbiev. He has sent a word of advice to the 20-0 unified light heavyweight champion. Well, it's left to each individual to figure out who needs the advice more, whether Dmitry Bivol or Artur Beterbiev. Anyway, David Benavidez thinks Beterbiev needs it more, and he has every right to say so, seeing as he has sparred with Dmitry Bivol in the past. David Benavidez didn't hold back his opinions on the highly anticipated light heavyweight showdown between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol. With Beterbiev plagued by injuries from time to time, Benavidez had some sharp words for the reigning champion.
Is that he's really flat-footed, but he has a lot of power.
Yeah.
The thing about Bivol, he's more of a complete fighter.
Right.
He can hit you from here, he can move here, you know, you can't hit him, he's moving, you know.
Yeah.
Beterbiev is getting older, and he works out hard. He does a lot of weights, so maybe that's what is slowing him down, Benavidez said. His chances of beating Bivol are getting slimmer and slimmer. But at the end of the day, I don't want to speak on what those men can and can't do. Speaking to Sean Ziddle, the recently crowned WBC interim light heavyweight champion and first in line for the winner, David Benavidez broke the fight down based on his experience sparring Bivol and being in with former Beterbiev opponent Alexander Gvozdyk.
shots a little bit more, so you can kind of see when you throw hooks. There's this little movement that they do before they let the hook go. It gives you just that much time to dodge the shot.
In a surprising twist, it's Bivol who has had only one stoppage in his last 10 fights. He discusses the thing. They're both extremely talented fighters. Two different types of fighters, though. Bivol is a boxer. He moves around a lot, but he's solid. Beterbiev is a freaking train. He just comes at you and takes shots to give shots. So what I'm looking at for this fight is Bivol has the power to hurt Beterbiev because Beterbiev has been hurt by Alexander Gvozdyk. I've sparred both, and Bivol cracks harder than Alexander. It's going to be a really interesting fight. I think if Bivol stays on his feet the whole night, uses his jab, and then when they exchange, he stands his ground, I think he has a really good chance of winning. But also, when Beterbiev gets his engine going, that mother freaker's a train. He has what? 19 fights? 19 knockouts? It's 50-50. A great fight. Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol face off for the undisputed light heavyweight championship. As some other boxing professionals gave their predictions, Beterbiev puts his World Boxing Organization, World Boxing Council, and International Boxing Federation belts on the line, while Bivol comes with his WBA title. Beterbiev has a 20-0 record with a 100% knockout rate.
He's a great boxer and he has punching power. And then Beterbiev, I think he's a little bit older. You know, I think his body's breaking down a little bit. He works really hard.
He stopped Callum Smith in his last fight and has never gone the distance, raising question marks over whether Bivol can take him there. Bivol stopped Malik Ziad in his last fight to take his record to 23-0. His biggest win was against Canelo Alvarez, but he will need to go one better to become the best 175-pounder of his era. Just like David Benavidez, trainer Robert Garcia has tipped Dmitry Bivol to earn a decision over Artur Beterbiev on October 12th. The unified WBC IBF and WBO light heavyweight titleist Beterbiev is scheduled to face his fellow Russian Bivol, holder of the WBA 107th B belt, in an undisputed title fight at Kingdom Arena in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia.
But he does a lot of weights, and in boxing, when you do too much weights like that, that's when you start to break down more. So I'm leaning a little bit more.
It's a tough call between the two best Russian fighters and the world's top two light heavyweights. I can't wait for that one, man, Garcia told Fight Hub TV. That's going to be a fight that's hard to pick the winner. I lean towards Bivol by decision. A Bivol-Beterbiev blockbuster has been years in the making and waiting, as a potential bout between them fell through due to a knee injury suffered by Beterbiev. Bivol has had a stellar professional career, beating the likes of super middleweight King Saul Canelo Alvarez and Gilberto Ramirez. However, the fight with Beterbiev remains Bivol's biggest test. Garcia acknowledges that Beterbiev remains tough at 39 years old. He has knocked out every opponent he has faced during his 11-year professional career. While Bivol represents his greatest challenge, Garcia knows Beterbiev has the power to be a constant threat. I also wouldn't be surprised if Beterbiev hurts Bivol and knocks him out because that guy has so much power that he could knock anybody out, Garcia said. Legendary boxing trainer and fight analyst Teddy Atlas has made his prediction ahead of the hotly anticipated, undisputed light heavyweight title showdown between Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol.
Yeah, I just feel like everybody he's fought, I'm different from him. You know, the fight with Joe Smith, I feel like Joe Smith kind of panicked after he got.
Beterbiev decimated Callum Smith over 7 rounds last week, and now newfound boxing catalyst Turki Al-Sheikh has announced his intentions of putting the fight together in Saudi Arabia, despite recent difficulties due to the WBC's stance on Russian athletes. On his YouTube channel, Atlas predicted that Bivol would come out on top and explained exactly why Bivol has the edge. I think Bivol beats him. I think Bivol controls range. He counterpunches well, and he's defensively very solid. But here's the most important reason why I give Bivol a chance. He is mentally solid too. You have got to be mentally solid. Forget about the physical stuff. Yeah, you've got to be good, but that brain has got to be surrounded by titanium. I don't mean to keep the blows from hurting you. I mean to keep the pressure from sinking you, melting you, evaporating you. He's got that warrior spirit, he's got it. He just approaches it differently than Beterbiev. He uses different weaponry, that's all. Atlas continued.
33.
He's 34.
33.
I think 33, but I'm not sure. I might be wrong.
I think he's 34.
Okay. Beterbiev is 39. He's going to be 40 very soon.
He went on to state what he believes will be a very key factor if the fight takes place. The choice of the referee will be very important. If I was involved with these fighters, I would be on top of that. If I am Beterbiev, I better get a referee that allows me to fight when I get close. Otherwise, I'm dead. If I am Bivol, then I better get a referee that is maybe inclined to let me tie up a little bit. Not that Bivol won't fight you when he has to. He will. David Benavidez decided to break from the waiting game some months ago, informing the World Boxing Council that he will surrender his super middleweight mandatory status to Saul Canelo Alvarez and remain the light heavyweight title mandatory.
They both get hit. You know, it's not like one of them has great defense where he doesn't get touched up at all.
As Alvarez moved toward a September 14th fight against Edgar Berlanga, Benavidez's promoter, Samson Lukowicz, told Boxing Scene, Benavidez has received assurance from World Boxing Council President Mauricio Suleiman that he will face the winner of the October 12th undisputed light heavyweight title fight between 3-belt champion Artur Beterbiev and his fellow unbeaten Russian, World Boxing Association title holder, Dmitry Bivol. With that said, Benavidez will take a December fight against a non-champion. He then plans to take over the Cinco de Mayo weekend card that Alvarez has owned for years by staging his undisputed 175 LB title fight on that meaningful boxing weekend in Las Vegas. That title fight guarantee is something Suleiman could not do for Benavidez against Mexico's undisputed super middleweight champion, Alvarez. 4-division champion Alvarez, 34, said he wouldn't fight Benavidez, 27, for less than $150 million, and Suleiman declined to strip the mega-earning Alvarez of his belt.
Man, it's going to be tough. I don't know why I lean towards Bivol pulling it off a decision, but it's not easy.
This, despite the Phoenix fighter's 2-year-plus wait as the #1 WBC contender, along with his standing as a former titleist in the division. His recent triumphs over ex-middleweight title holder Demetrius Andrade and ex-light heavyweight belt holder Alexander Gvozdyk in June affirmed his qualifications. This was the decision of Benavidez, said his promoter, Samson Lukowicz. He doesn't want to lose any more time waiting for Canelo. He wants to create his own legacy. He will go down his own path without Canelo. Benavidez suffered a hand injury during the Gvozdyk bout and couldn't record a knockout, but he projects well to the next division and now possesses a vested interest in the October 12th Bivol Beterbiev bout in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Benavidez has spoken about the possibility of being able to add weight as his career advances.
Towards Bivol winning that fight.
Well, he's slowing down. No, like I said earlier, Ken, he's slowing down.
Am I seeing that correctly?
He's cutting up easier, and he's 38 years old. He's had 300.
Speculating that he believes he'll be capable of becoming a heavyweight by his mid-30s. Winning a title there would definitely qualify as charting his own course. Alexander Gvozdyk might be known as the Nail for his offensive abilities, but he could now have the nickname based on his toughness after a 12-round battle with David Benavidez. The 37-year-old Gvozdyk soaked up everything Benavidez could dish out. serving as a hostile welcoming committee for the super middleweight who was moving up to 175 lbs in pursuit of new challenges. Benavidez won by scores of 116, 112, 117, 111, and 119, 109. "I think it's a solid 8 out of 10, Benavidez said. "Oleksandr is a great fighter. I thought I had a great fight, a tough fight, and we move on." Benavidez revealed that he suffered a bad cut over his left eye 2 weeks ago and had a torn tendon in his hand in training camp. "We're still looking at 168 for Canelo Alvarez, or a title if he vacates."
Fight this weekend. I know you had Bivol with a slight advantage. After the fight against Yarde, do you have Bivol as a bigger favorite or closer to even after?
Added the winner. But credit to Gvozdyk, who had more left in the tank than many imagined, including Benavidez himself. Gvozdyk, looking immaculate at the weight, made a precise start, throwing straight shots and following jabs with right hands. He appeared strong while Phoenix's Benavidez targeted the left to the body. Benavidez started to get his right hand going near the end of the first round. Gvozdyk's well-placed right elbow guarded him well against the body attack. In the second, the Ukrainian was holding his own, but Benavidez's jab and a few right hands knocked his head back. Benavidez had teased that his sparring sessions with Gvozdyk, back when Benavidez was just a 21-year-old prospect, would be worth the admission, and they were putting on a good fight. In the third, a neat Gvozdyk right uppercut on the inside got through, but Benavidez got busy. He turned southpaw and enjoyed a lengthy spell in the ascendancy, and things started to look bleak for Gvozdyk, who was struggling not to get hit on the inside or the outside. A sweeping left hook from the American clipped Gvozdyk on the top of the head, a few centimeters lower.
Poses the harder fight for you between Bivol and Beterbiev? Who presents the more difficult fight?
I think probably Beterbiev.
And it could have had worse consequences. Gvozdyk had been enjoying a better fourth round, but with less than 30 seconds remaining, Benavidez found a home for a couple of right uppercuts and finished with a right over the top, catching the former light heavyweight champ with some hefty punches. In the fifth, Benavidez tried to get his hands firing, letting go of his trademark rapid combinations, but Gvozdyk locked the door with a tight guard. Benavidez then shelved those tactics and went back to the plan. Not a bad idea, as shortly after, he lumped Gvozdyk with a left hand that thundered off the side of Gvozdyk's jaw. Those concerned over Gvozdyk's ability to withstand the first 6 rounds were misguided. He looked sturdy, and his attack remained cultured, even though the eye-catching work came from Benavidez. Gvozdyk soaked up 3 straight right hands in succession and didn't flinch as he chewed on several left hooks. By the 8th round, it seemed like there was more hope than strategy attached to Benavidez's work as cries of "David, David!" filled the MGM Grand Garden Arena.
Because he's 14-0 with 14 knockouts, or 15-0 15 knockouts. The thing I see about him is a little bit different. It might be an easier way to beat him is that he's really flat-footed.
He was guilty of loading up on the left hook, trying to knock Gvozdyk's head into the stands. The pace slowed a little, but a Benavidez left to the body appeared to register, and the corner worked on the wound over his left eye. New camp member Stitch Duran was put to good use. Credit to Gvozdyk, who fought with real craft and determination. Benavidez was the one blowing in the 9th round, and Gvozdyk timed a wild left hook from Benavidez with a right over the top. The 10th was a good round for Gvozdyk. He looked comfortable with Benavidez's power, but was still disciplined with his own attack. He was persistent, and there was a solid look to his work and his base. Benavidez was almost all out of fresh ideas. His work rate dipped, and Gvozdyk pecked and probed away incessantly. The David chance began again in the final round. But Benavidez was swelling around his left eye and finding it hard to match Gvozdyk's output. The multifaceted bomber of the earlier rounds had become one-dimensional, and credit to Gvozdyk for that. For those wondering what David Benavidez would look like after moving from super middleweight to light heavyweight, the answer was mostly the same. Benavidez worked his way to a unanimous decision against former world champion Oleksandr Gvozdyk on the undercard of Gervonta Tank Davis versus Frank Martin to become the interim World Boxing Council champion from the opening moments of the fight. Benavidez made his intentions clear. He was going to target the body of Gvozdyk early and often. In addition, Benavidez was ready to stay on the front foot, pushing Gvozdyk backward with pressure and volume punching. Gvozdyk tried to counter Benavidez's pressure by popping out a constant flow of jabs, but without power shots to dissuade Benavidez from his game plan. The jabs weren't able to change the course of the fight. By round 4, Benavidez was landing effectively with power shots to the head, in addition to the constant flow of body shots. It was a tremendous battle of wills, with Benavidez holding more than a 2-to-1 advantage in landed power shots. Benavidez stayed the course and forced Gvozdyk to prove he could continue absorbing clean punches and find a way to turn the tide. When Gvozdyk did find success with a punch or two, Benavidez responded with heavy flurries that immediately regained the momentum and forced Gvozdyk back on the defensive. Not to be overlooked in this offensive showcase, Benavidez also displayed fantastic defense, mixing head movement with consistent parrying of Gvozdyk's punches using his gloves. To Gvozdyk's credit, he handled Benavidez's clean shots well and continued to try to find spots to impose his will. For those looking to criticize Benavidez, the lack of shots that seem to hurt or even bother Gvozdyk may stand out. This will always be a concern for a fighter moving up in weight. Benavidez also appeared uncharacteristically tired down the stretch.
Hooks, uppercuts, oh my goodness, sensational stuff. Benavidez, another left hook, followed by a...
Possibly due to the weight move to 175 lbs, though he had been draining himself to make the 168 lb super middleweight limit. These factors gave Gvozdyk a claim to winning a few rounds. Defenders of Benavidez will point to his sharp defense, head movement, and use of his gloves to parry incoming punches throughout most of the fight as reasons for optimism regarding his light heavyweight career. However, with the division being controlled by Artur Beterbiev and Dmitry Bivol, two of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the sport, the jury is still out on Benavidez's ceiling in this weight class. A win is a win, though, and Benavidez is once again in a position to challenge for a world championship. I think it's a 7 out of 10, honestly, Benavidez said of his performance, while also citing injuries in training camp that affected him. It was a great fight, and Gvozdyk is a great fighter. We move on, Benavidez said. I think it was tough because I was trying to get a feel for the light heavyweight division. These guys hit a lot harder. Benavidez moved up a division after it became clear that undisputed super middleweight champion Saul Canelo Alvarez had little interest in facing him, despite Benavidez being the WBC mandatory challenger. Benavidez's first title reign ended when he was stripped after testing positive for cocaine. His second reign ended when he missed weight. These two situations cleared the way for Alvarez to go undisputed without having to fight the consensus best opponent in the division. Despite his successful move to light heavyweight, Benavidez said he wasn't abandoning his goal of facing Alvarez. We're still looking to go to 168 for the title, Benavidez said. Whether that's Canelo or if they vacate it, we'd like to win it one more time. I want to fight in both divisions. And that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us. Until next time, peace out.